I don't think I'm like that with my friends. Why didn't you buy me my char kway teow? Why? Did you forget about? I mean, obviously I wouldn't go.
Sorry, Otelli, sorry.
Yeah. Hello there, I'm Otelli.
And I'm Stephen, and we're both presenters from CNA.
Today we are on Spill It to basically answer a lot of questions, including risky questions about what being a presenter is like.
Well, I guess we'll find out. That's why we're going to spill it. And that's why you need to be here to...
hear it, see it.
There you go.
My career started many years ago as a sports reporter, and then, dabbled a bit in radio, print, and finally landed doing TV.
But as for me, I kind of fell into my job at CNA. So I was working in a production company and they were looking for presenters, and I have to admit, I think they were a little bit desperate, so they found me. I was doing some freelance work for CNA and...
Right place at the right time.
That's true, and a morning show, and I jumped into it head first, and having never really done live TV prior to that, so it was a real awakening.
I don't know. Actually, I wasn't nervous coming in here until you started telling me about all these risky questions. So I'm like, let's hope that we still have our jobs at the end of
what's in this pile of cards? Well, we'll see. We'll take it as it comes.
To start the game, each player will draw 5 question cards from the deck. Players will then take turns choosing a question card from their hand to ask the opponent.
And players will also be given 3 action cards each where they can skip, swap, switch questions at any point in time. For skip, you skip the question. Swap, you ditch the question and answer the next card from the deck. And switch, you get your opponent to answer instead.
I go first. Okay, well let's just start. This is quite easy for you, alright?
Okay.
Let's warm you up first. Do you need a degree in mass comms or journalism to be in this profession?
Oh, wow. I know I have a degree. I have a degree. But I think a lot of it has to do with experience. So the paper qualifications help at the beginning, but I think a lot of it is if you've got like 30 years of experience but don't have a degree, there's a good chance we might still hire you because, I mean, in this job, experience counts a lot more than just the paper qualifications.
That's true though, but are you ready for a trickier question?
What's that?
I mean, but everyone already has a degree, so how are you gonna stand out from the rest?
So you gotta ask yourself, to what degree will you go to get the job? This is a pretty typical question we always get. How do you cope with a bad day when you still have to present the news?
Well, I think the important thing is to be professional. And I think sometimes whatever happens at home or whatever happens in your personal life, when you're at work, you just have to put on your game face. Actually, speaking of which as well, there was an incident where one of the presenters, she was on air.
Yeah.
It was live. And suddenly she had heart palpitation and she was like, I can't read now. She took off her mic and she left. And I remembered the studio director, I happened to be the only presenter who was there, no makeup, looking ghastly, like so ghastly, like, that could be my Halloween look, like really. But it was like, Otelli, come on, you, up next. And I remembered it's just jumping in and just, having to do the job professionally, although I look like hell.
So the next time you see Otelli on the air not looking so good, now you know why.
Yeah. Right. Are you guys paid a lot?
If only. No, we're not. Okay, so in the US, people have heard stories of how the news anchors, negotiate contracts which are in like the millions and millions of dollars. I mean, let's just be very frank and honest with you. It doesn't happen here in Singapore. We do make enough money to be, comfortable enough to take care of our families, but you will not get rich, by doing this job. You will not become a millionaire, billionaire, even if you work at this for like, I think, 30, 40 years. Have you ever presented a piece of news but didn't understand it one bit? It's your question, not mine.
Yeah, it's got to do with, when you interview certain lawyers and they use a lot of legal jargon, which, I mean, if I'm confounded, then I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be as well.
Or they get very upset when we sort of paraphrase it. I remember interviewing like a doctor about some new surgical process and he's describing it and using all the technical terms. And then I said, so doctor, what you're trying to say is, essentially, it's a bit like a plumber, right? You got to stick the pipe in there and then you just pump a little bit and get the water out and then you seal up the hole, right?
It was like, how very dare you?
And he was like, what? You just made my $20,000 procedure look like a $50 plumbing,
Were you ever on the verge of crying while reporting the news? Be honest now.
Ooh. I've actually cried there. I have before. With when I was doing an interview. This was for Talking Point. I was interviewing not too long ago the polar bear at the zoo.
Yeah, Inuka.
Inuka passed away, and so I was interviewing a lot of their keepers and the guys who were taking care of them. And there was this one zookeeper who was telling me his story, and he was, because he was crying, and I just couldn't help myself. I cried too.
But was it for the show, or you genuinely felt like...
I genuinely felt. I didn't put it on.
Let's hope not.
mean,
whatever to get the ratings up.
Oh, come on, I'm not that bad. If I'm not a news presenter, I would be a...
If you're talking about like a sports career,
Yeah.
I think I would have very much liked to be a figure skater.
That's something I really would not have expected you to say.
Yep, still you don't know me all that well after all, although having known me for 20 years?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't go up to you and say, hey, do you like figure skating?
How do you recover from a mistake, like pronouncing a word, stuttering, or even, have you ever had a laughing fit on air? Actually?
Oh, yes. But why don't you tell us your story? Switch!
Ah!
We'll my switch card.
Okay, so there is this particular word
Okay.
that for some reason, for quite a stretch of time, I just get like...
What is that?
Yeah, exactly, I'm coming to that. Like, I would just get like this mind block, like this brain freeze, and I'm like, it's the word decision. Yeah, so it was one of the strangest things about my career. It's like, I think for 2 months, every time I chanced upon that word, and I would be so paranoid about saying that word, I would make sure I read all my scripts, and if the word decision is there, I would turn it around to like, okay, it's decided upon that, something like that. But I mean, that curse has been lifted, so decision is back on the script.
It's no longer a bad decision.
No longer, thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the laptop for?
We have that laptop or that computer in front of us. We actually use it. So whenever there's breaking news, Google, the thing with Google is, you don't want to be reporting fake news as well. So we get from the wires like AP or Reuters, where we know that, it's legit because that's our news sources. So we always go to that. Like sometimes they update with numbers.
So what we're Googling is historical information
Yeah.
that in the past 20 years there have been, over 10 air crashes that have been related to the engine, blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
What is an assumption about news presenter that is completely untrue?
You're talking about desks covering our legs, that we don't wear pants, or you wear shorts to work. And you can actually.
And now presenters work from home.
Ah,
some presenters.
Yeah,
so yeah.
That's right. I'm sure they're wearing shorts at home too. Oh wait, that was also me. Yeah. So true or false? I'm a different person off screen.
I'm still the same person, but.
Are you nicer?
Actually, that's a good question. I might be nicer off air, actually. No, but I remember I was quite upset with one of the interviews I did, because in India, there were like several buildings collapsing at one time, within a span of a month. And I spoke to the minister, one of the interior minister, I think from India, and I kept asking him like, is it just because it's just shoddy, right? The work is just shoddy. There's no responsibility in the construction sector and stuff. And I remember he was irate, I think. I don't know why he felt I was being accused. So he was going, no. So he didn't answer the question. He was trying to skirt around the question. I asked the same question a second time. And I think for a presenter, like, I just wanted the viewers to know, like, obviously that this particular person is not answering the question. And I asked him the same question third time.
Wow.
So I give you 3 times, I ask the same question. And if you're skirting it, I think it's very clear to everyone that you're skirting it. So, I'm just saying like things like that. I don't think I'm like that with my friends. Why didn't you buy me my char kway teow? Why? Did you forget about? Obviously I wouldn't go.
Sorry, Otelli, sorry.
Yeah. So I think I am actually nicer, maybe when I'm not. What are some things that news presenters do in the studio that their audiences wouldn't know?
I've eaten a lot of bad food, because we used to do a lot of cooking, and we get these Michelin star chefs to come in. And
how would the food be bad if it's a Michelin chef?
So it would, because they would come in with have a set, and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna go live, and for the next 4 minutes you have to cook that dish and talk to me at the same time. And so, they'll be doing it, and obviously in 4 minutes, how well can you really cook a dish while being distracted by this guy asking you 1,000 questions, right?
Right. So what would be bad
like,
is, and then after having to go to the
toilet,
fantastic,
the chef
but then you have to run to the toilet.
Sorry, come on, make it up to you,
Oh, really?
So
okay,
that's something.
That's not
because for
fair
TV,
as well.
we gotta, you gotta, make it look good. What was the most memorable interview you have ever done?
So I'm a big, huge sports fan, right? So when I heard that Manny Pacquiao who's only the best, like world's best pound for pound boxer. He was coming to Singapore. I was like, please, I will do it. I will do anything, like, you know, for the next year if you let me interview him. So because I've followed all his, you know, his boxing matches, and he's such an iconic figure in Philippines, I was really thrilled to have interviewed him. When I actually met him, he was very, very, very meek, believe it or not, for a boxer.
Okay. Sounds like you were a little bit disappointed by the...
I was, and then I was a little bit, because I was hoping, like, you know, I don't know why.
They give you pound for pound.
Yeah, like best pound for pound. And on the other guy, on the other hand, I mean, his opponent was very friendly, and actually, I remember that at that time, I actually went to buy chicken rice.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get a reaction from these boxers and what it's like eating local food, and I didn't expect them to actually eat my chicken rice, because I'm like, I was hiding the box, right? Because I didn't want all these PR people to say, no, they're watching their weight. Their weigh-in is just like, you know, tomorrow. But I actually whipped the chicken rice. Like, hey, welcome to Singapore. Here, would you like to try some chicken rice? It's like our national dish.
Yeah.
And the guy actually took a spoonful of it. So actually, I got a good PTC.
There you go.
On my turn. Tell us a fun fact about the profession.
You get to learn a lot. You hear, you know, you meet different people almost every day talking about different issues. And as a result of that, I think I've learned so much about, like I said, you know, a lot of little things along the way.
And also, one of the perks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get free passes. Like, for instance, if you cover a certain musician or if you cover a certain event, you get to go to the event.
Oh,
right?
sure. But that's, come on. That's because you have to do your research to understand what the event might be like before you interview the, you know, the star themselves, you know.
Absolutely. Also, having said that, I mean, we're quite strict about what the things that we can get at least, because I mean, I think this is something which is good, because we can't.
You can't like give
we can't be
Otelli
seen
a
as
car.
being bribed, yeah.
You can't
right?
give her a car, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah. So for us poor presenters, right, and that's why we will never be rich, is the fact that we cannot do any ads, we cannot take on any sort of endorsements and stuff. That's why, you know. Okay. Last but not least.
True or false? Being a news presenter is a stable job for life. Is it an iron rice bowl?
Yeah, I think we have news presenters actually
Who have been let go?
Like on the very day for certain you know. But I think you must have really done something quite wrong, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I think never say no. So I think any job, right?
Yep.
I mean, whether.
And we don't know what the world's going to be like, so the way things change, maybe, I mean, we've all heard of robotic, you know, news presenters, actual robots who can read the news.
Yeah,
you know,
we've seen them. Yeah, we've seen
them
those,
too.
yeah.
So yeah, who knows, we might be out of a job in 20, 30 years. But I figured I'd be retiring in the end.
Yeah, so it all works out.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
What was the experience for you guys answering the questions of the question time?
It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was,
They were, I think they were safe questions. So.
Yeah, they were pretty safe.
So
Yeah,
right.
you guys were being quite kind to us actually.
Yeah, didn't have to spill too much, you know. Thanks so much for joining us here on Spill It.
And if you want to find out more or watch more, subscribe right here.